I've become more powerful than any Jedi. Even you.
Much to learn, you still have.
Did Pokemon release this deck too late? Hey everyone, it's me Joji, and today we're going to be taking a look at this new League Battle deck for Palkia VSTAR. Now, I'm a little confused as to why they didn't release this earlier when it was so powerful with the Inteleon Shady Dealings engine, but for whatever reason, they're releasing this now, so I guess we'll have to deal with that, with it not having the optimal engine to run it. But keep in mind that although this is coming out very late, it is going into Scarlet and Violet's Paldea Evolved set. So there may be some cards that we want to add into this deck, or maybe add cards from this deck into another deck later on. So keep that in mind. I'll probably mention it later in the video, but let's go ahead and get right into this deck. Honestly, nothing has changed because this is still sort of like the League Battle decks we're going to be seeing for Sword and Shield. I don't know if they're going to change it up when we do get the League Battle decks for Scarlet and Violet, but for now, this is what we're getting. Now, pretty much everything's the same. We do have the deck list on the back here, and you can see some of the contents, which we will see right now. Let's not wait any longer. Let's go ahead and get into this deck and see how we can upgrade it, and we're going to have some gameplay on it as well. Ooh, what fell out? Oh. These are actually new. These are the newer version of the burn and poison counters. Interesting to see that in there. It looks like there might be some instructions already on how to upgrade your deck. I'm sure it might say some of the things that I'm going to be saying. Ooh, yes. Few things that I was going to mention. Nest Ball, Cross Switcher. Surprisingly, they're putting in Kyurem VMAX, which is an option. But there is a deck going around of just Kyurem and a bunch of energy that is probably better than this. This might need something more like a Starmie, to be honest, which we'll see if we put that in there later. But let's go ahead and get the rest of this opened up. Alright. Let's put that there. Actually, take this away. We don't need that anymore. So we do have, ooh, code card right here, front and center, so show that at the end. Deck box, still the same old deck box, unlike the new EX Battle decks, which doesn't have any of the Pokemon on it like this one does. If you haven't seen those, go check it out. We do have two of them out for both the Ampharos and the Lucario decks, and we do have some upgrades for that if you're interested. Those are more beginner level, so keep that in mind when you are building decks around those. Ooh, this is actually different packaging. I don't think they've ever had dice this way. Not bad. I think it is, yeah, it's a generic one. It is matching, obviously, Palkia's colors. And nice little packaging there. Ooh, even says Pokemon on the front here. Can't really tell. There we go. Kind of in the light, you can see it. Anyways, we do have the VSTAR counter because it does have a VSTAR attack. Nothing else there. Let's grab these cards here. And surprisingly, I was not expecting them to give us such great cards in this. So, kind of plop them down there. So we get 3 of the Origin Form Palkia V, which is actually not unusual. We do usually get like a good line, like a 3-2 line, or sometimes even like a 3-3 line. But this time around, it is a 3-2. Here is the VSTAR, and these are not promos like in other EX battle decks and some V battle decks. These are the actual cards you could pull from, I believe it was Lost Origins, or was it Astral Radiance? One of the two. But then at the end, we get even something much more interesting. We get a Radiant Greninja, and although I believe the price on this has definitely dropped a lot, it is still a staple card, so getting this plus some other staple cards we'll see in a second in here is really great. Speaking of cards in there, let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, let's show off the code card so you can get Palkia VSTAR's deck in Pokemon TCG Live. And actually, I'm not sure if you can get it into Pokemon TCG Online, because as it is, I think it doesn't have any Scarlet and Violet cards. So maybe you could redeem this in Pokemon TCG Online before it sunsets in June. Anyways, let's go ahead, get into the contents of this box. Okay, so we already saw some of these cards, but let's go ahead and put them out here. We have a 3-2 line of Palkia V and V-Star, of course. Then we also have that single Radiant Greninja. But for our other Pokemon, we have a 3-3 line of Bidoof Bibarel, which we'll probably change some stuff there. But Bibarel is a really good draw engine currently, so definitely worth keeping at least a few of these in there. But then we have some interesting cards, namely, we have 2 of these, but I'm showing off one for now. Hisuian Basculin. Now, I don't know why this is in here, maybe other than just gather the crew to get some setup on your Pokemon, but there's other ways other than wasting bench space and an attack to set up your Pokemon, so definitely going to change that. But again, it's a 2 line, and then we finally have a Water Veil Manaphy, which in this deck I don't think is going to be that much of an issue if you're getting hit by damage from the bench. Maybe an opposing Radiant Greninja to try and knock out your Bibarels, but it has to take 2 turns to knock them out. So I don't know how I feel about that as well. But let's go on to some of the trainer cards, which honestly, I feel like they definitely gave us a lot of good cards in here. Namely, Irida, because it has to go with Irida. Grabbing that 1 water Pokemon and the item are really great for this deck. Then we have a 3 Boss's Orders, which honestly not bad, although it's not the holo version, but it is still 3 Boss's Orders, quite a bit, to be honest. Maybe a little too much, maybe not enough. We'll have to see later. But we then have 3 Melony here, which perfect for our water deck here, and good for draw support if you have the energy in the discard. Then we have 1 Clara and then 1 Roxanne to finish out our trainer supporters. Now moving on to the rest of the trainer cards, we do have a 4 line of Ultra Ball. Honestly, they are very generous when it comes to these League Battle decks, and this is probably the best way to get competitive ready. Just if you want to play in a regional without having to do too much change, these League Battle decks are definitely worth it. Or maybe just if you want to run it at a League Cup or a League Challenge. We have 4 Battle VIP passes, which I'm on the fence on, because after the first turn they're pretty much useless and we don't have a way to really discard them. So I'm not sure about it. Maybe we can use it for the Ultra Balls, or maybe even if it comes up as an option when we use Trekking Shoes, which is a good card to be honest, but may switch that as well. But you know, if you grab a Battle VIP pass when you use Trekking Shoes, obviously, if it's not your first turn, that has to go. Then we have 2 Hisuian Heavy Balls. We have 2 Energy Search to get our energy, which probably important, you know, because we're going to be running a small amount as is, but we'll go over that in a second. We have 2 Switch. We have 1 Echoing Horn, and that is the finished amount for our item cards. Going on, although it does say item card, these choice spells are not an item anymore. These are actually considered their own thing. They're called Pokemon tools now. There has been an errata to change that ruling, so keep that in mind when you're using something like Arven or maybe Pokestop, I believe, looks for item cards. These would be discarded. And then finally for our stadium, we have Lake Acuity, which of course perfect because we have water Pokemon or Pokemon that will have water energy on them, so healing is not bad. And of course for our energy, we have a total of 9 energy. A little low, to be honest, especially for me. I usually like to stay between 10 to 14 at most for some of my decks, but it does come with 9 energies, which we probably will bump up and make some adjustments here and there. But this is the deck as it is. Now, I did mention in the beginning that I think this deck may have come too late and also too early, so it's kind of in that middle ground because it lost the Inteleon Shady Dealings engine, which made it such a strong, powerful deck to play, and honestly, Bibarel doesn't hit just as good. So that's the first downside why I think it was too late. And now when I say it's too early is because we do have a lot of good water type Pokemon coming out in Paldea Evolved, like Baxcalibur and Chien-Pao EX. So I don't know. Maybe they should have waited a little bit more. We do only have a month left until that comes out, so it's not that big of a deal. So it is in sort of that middle ground at the moment. But there are a few other suggestions to make while we wait for those newer cards to come out. Now, first and foremost, these Hisuian Basculins need to go. We do not need them in here. We can do the same effect with something like a Nest Ball if we really need to get some more cards, which we probably will be putting in Nest Balls instead. And a card we'll probably add in is something like a Starmie. It seems to be a lack of really strong attackers, and only having Palkia VSTAR as the attacker seems like a little lacking in this deck overall. So adding some other attacker like Starmie V, or even if you wanted to run this with Kyurem V Max, you could. Those are two perfect attackers to add on to this Palkia VSTAR deck. As for, supporters, this is a really good spread. This Irida, I wouldn't change. The boss's orders, I may bump up by 1, maybe even bump it down by 1. Melony's perfect there. Roxanne, I think, is probably a good idea to keep just in case you need to hit that Roxanne at the very end to maybe mess up your opponent's rhythm. And Clara, I think, could go just because we won't need to grab energy that way. We do still have Palkia VSTAR's ability. And while Lake Acuity is a great card for healing, I think we probably could put in a different stadium instead of Lake Acuity. So that might be something we'll have to do as well. And while 3 Choice Belts is great, there are not a lot of V Pokemon decks going around. There are a few exceptions, but there's a lot of EX Pokemon too, so this falls flat on its face if you're facing one of those decks. But those are just some suggestions I'll be making. For now, let's actually go ahead and take a look at the final upgraded deck that I suggest you should try running. And of course, keep in mind, this is keeping it pretty low of a budget, because as is, you're already spending about $30. So you don't want to break the bank, and I don't want to make this go over maybe even $60. So hopefully we can keep the cost down and make this super competitive, as we'll see in some gameplay after the upgrade. Okay, so for our upgrades, what we're going to do first is we're going to keep it a 3-line for Palkia V, but we are going to bump up the Palkia VSTAR up by 1 more, just because I think a 3-3 line will do a bit better than a 2-3 line. In case 1 or 2 of them get prized of the VSTAR, you're kind of out of luck, to be honest. Now, the other change is, well, first, we're keeping Reading Greninja, but we're adding in a Lumineon V, a Drapion V, obviously for those pesky Mew decks, and then a Starmie V, like I mentioned. So, if you don't know what Starmie V, or it's been a while, its main attack that we're going to be using is Energy Spiral, which it does 50 times for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, keep in mind, all of your opponent's Pokemon. This can hit some high numbers, even knock out some VMAX Pokemon if possible. And a plus is that it has no retreat cost, so this can go in and out of the active pretty easily. Now, we did bump down that Bidoof Bibarel line down to 2-2, but we also switched out that Bidoof for this version from Crown Zenith, which honestly is the better version because you don't have to worry about getting hit on the bench with it. And to go with this Bibarel line, there is a card that has become very popular and synonymous with amazing comebacks. It is Squavit. This Squavit here with its Nest Stash lets you shuffle your hand, put it at the bottom of your deck, and you draw one card. Now, that is fine, and maybe you can leave it up to luck if it's the only thing you can do. But if you have it with a Bibarel, you can draw up to 4 cards after that. So, a really good combination there. Now let's move on to our trainer cards. Starting off with, we're keeping the 4 line of Irida. We're not changing this at all, because I think Irida is great to have just as is. We are still keeping the 3 Melony. We're also keeping the 3 Bosses Orders. We're keeping Roxanne. So honestly, they gave us a lot of good supporter cards to start off with. But we're replacing the Clara with a Raihan. I think this will help with some comeback potential as well. So keeping Raihan is a better option. And moving on to our item cards. We're going to start off with the 4 Ultra Ball that we did get. We're still keeping these. Then we're going with 3 Nest Balls. We're adding these in lieu of the Sisui Masculines because this does the same effect and it's an item card, so you don't have to worry about wasting an attack or again bench space. We're bumping the VIP Battle Passes down to 3 instead of what was 4. And then we're adding in Cross Switcher. Now this is a little weird, you might think. Why are we using a Fusion Strike card in a non-Fusion Strike deck? Well, we do have Irida that grabs an item, Raihan that can also grab an item if you wanted to. So this is a good way to maybe switch in something for a knockout easily. And it can be, again, drawn with the 1 card you'll have plus the 4. So it's a good way to set up for knockouts. We're keeping the Energy Search, and we're keeping 1 switch, and then also Echoing Horn, and then we're still keeping the Choice Belts, but we're bumping it down to 2. We don't need the 3 again. We do have a lot of EX Pokemon going around, so this will become useless, but good to still at least have options. Now for our stadium, we are getting rid of Lake Acuity, instead using Lost City, because we have a lot of gusting effects from Boss and Cross Switcher, so choosing your opponent's Pokemon and knocking it out and then making it unable to come back with Lost City is very great. So that's why we run instead Lost City instead of Lake Acuity. The 20 less damage is great and all, but most of the time it's going to be hard for them to hit the 280, although there are the Miraidons going around. If that's the case, you're going to be in a very bad matchup, to be honest, because of all the water Pokemon. But speaking of water, we are going to be running, instead of 9, we're now running 11 energy. I think 11 energy is a good middle ground here for a rounded 60 card deck. And this is the 60 card deck we're going to be running for some games today. Honestly, I like this as is. And if you notice, I took a lot of inspiration from one of the highest rated Palkia VSTAR decks that recently played at Portland. I think it got about like in the 60s of rankings, and honestly, it pretty much ran as the League Battle deck, but with some modifications. And overall, I'm excited to try this out. And hopefully, we can try this out later once we get the new Paldea Evolved stuff. But for now, let's go ahead and get into a game. Okay, so we will be going first, hopefully, to set up our Palkia VSTAR and maybe our Bibarel early. Ooh, okay, well, we're starting with Bidoof and Battle VIP Pass there, which is good. I don't like it being in the active. Empoleon. Okay, so this could be Rapid Strike box. Let's get out... if it is Rapid Strike box, we do have free hits with Drapion. But for now, let's grab that and maybe this, just in case they get the knockouts. I think that's good for now. I wish I had energy, but that's fine. I think next turn we might have to use Irida. Ooh. Rapid Strike Lugia. Interesting. I like it. I don't know how I feel about the Empoleon start. Maybe they're running 1, maybe they're running 2. Luminous Sign, maybe for Professor Burnett or Professor's research. See how quickly they set up their Lugia. Professor Burnett, okay, so they probably have Lugia in hand. The VSTAR, I should say. We'll see a pass here, most likely. Gift, okay. I don't think we'll be hitting knockout. But if we draw... Oh man, I was going to say if we draw an energy, we could Ultra Ball and Melony. But I don't know if I want to put this Palkia up. I almost don't want to. In lieu of getting our Bidoof. Or sorry, Bibarel, I should say. Let's do this. Let's actually Irida get our cross switcher. Actually, no, not yet. I'm gonna get this for Squavit. And I'm gonna grab Greninja. Actually, Starmie. Starmie will probably be beneficial here because they're gonna be so much energy on their bench. Or in general, on their Pokemon. And then Squavit. We're going to put these back. Oh, right. Empoleon stops it. Well, we can still Industrious Incisors for 3. Okay, that's good. I'm not going to play this just yet. We could maybe use it, but I want to see what else they put down. Well, that's fine. If I had put Raiding Greninja, it would have been useless regardless, but... That's fine, that they have this instead. Okay, here comes the Lugia VSTAR. Oh, they had 2 Empoleons. Interesting. So we will be doing what is 20 for each, right? Okay, so they don't put anything else up. It's 8. So 160 plus the 60 base for 220. We need Choice Belt in order to get knockouts. Oh, looks like they are going to get a hit here. I think we go in with Origin Form next. Alright. We need an energy. The Streepion's useless now. There's the energy, which is wonderful. Great top deck. I don't want to play this because they only have 1 Rapid Strike Pokemon. So let's just Industrious Incisors for 1, I guess. Roxanne we could use at some point, but not right now. And we're 1 short. Oh man, okay. I'm benching it, unfortunately. For the knockout. Oh, I didn't like that. Oh well. Let's grab our 2. Okay. That's fine. If we grab some boss's orders or another cross switcher, we could boss up an Urshifu if they play it. And knock that out before they evolve it. Definitely an option. But doesn't look like they're going to play it. Okay. Interesting. So maybe we'll cross-switcher up Lumineon. Okay, so that is 4 energy. So this would be doing 200 at the moment. We need more Pokemon on their bench. I don't think we can... We got rid of our Echoing Horn, right? We did. We can boss right now. I'm going to power this up. Boss up Lumineon. Or do we slow them down? I think we slow them down. I like slowing them down better than getting 2 prizes here. Energy. Lost City. Maybe I should have gone with it. Now I'm regretting going for the 2 prize cards because we don't have a Palkia to set up with. Oh, that's useless. But they do have 5 energy technically attached to this, so this could get the knockout next turn. And that is not going to get powered up quickly enough. We could also boss this. Okay, there's a knockout. They're probably going to get rid of Lost City, which is fine. Ooh. Technically, this counts as 2, I believe. Put this up. Put this up. This is doing, yeah, 320 damage. We're gonna conceal cards first. Hopefully set up another Palkia. I would love to. Unfortunately, we're not going to it. Well, we still have Squavit. Well, we don't want to draw into energy, so I'm going to put this here. Just to lower our chances of it. Okay. Palkia VSTAR is not what we wanted just yet. We need the V. We have the Ultra Ball. I do want to set it up. I think I'm going to Irida instead. Palkia. We will grab a cross switcher out of safety. Okay. I think this is good. Because we can power up with Melony, and then we'll draw into hopefully another energy at some point. But let's go ahead and do 320 damage for the knockout here. We draw 1, okay. 2. Oh, I didn't realize they had 2 lucky energies on there. Okay. Now we just need a cross switcher into whatever Pokemon. We do have Raihan, too, which is great. We could power up Palkia that way. And then boss up, or sorry, cross switcher up the Archeops for knockout. Let's see, what are they going to? G-Max Rapid Flow. I'm assuming these two. Which will get rid of our draw engine for the most part. Oh, the Judge. I was not expecting the Judge. Good forehand. Actually, not that bad. Actually, I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with that because I still haven't used Star Portal. So I could just set up onto itself for game. Alright, let's see. Also, if they put more stuff up, we could knock out with Starmie. Right now they're at 4. So we really just need a cross switcher and then we can Irida. This makes it a little bit harder, but we could also draw into energy and use Greninja. Alright, let's see. We're close. We're very close. We're both very close to winning. If we drew energy, okay. So we got that. We still have Star Portal, so I'm not gonna use Melony just yet. We got the cross switcher. We have game. So ordering here, we're gonna power up here. We'll just throw the third one on there. But we can just Irida grab our other cross switcher. It doesn't really matter what else we grab. And we're just going to cross switcher up the Lumineon for knockout. Well, let's just use Archeops here just for safety. Because we only need one prize card. That is game. Oh, I hate to see Rapid Strike lose because it's one of my favorite decks. But we have to make an example of it and show you how good Palkia VSTAR is. And so that is Palkia VSTAR upgraded. Honestly, it is a good deck and it's only going to get better if you keep using it into Paldea Evolved, I think. So keep in mind that this still exists once that comes out, so you're not just blinded by the new cards. Hey, you can upgrade this guy with some of those new cards. But overall, I think it's definitely a good deck to try out. So let me know what you think of Palkia VSTAR. You think it's kind of in this weird middle ground at the moment and it should have been, pushed back to maybe June so it could come out with Chien-Pao? Or do you think maybe it should have come out sooner so you could have Inteleon Shady Dealings with it instead? Let me know down in the comments. And while you're there, why not get subscribed? Because we're going to be doing so many more videos on deck upgrades, deck reviews, and of course Paldea Evolved is coming out next month. So that means pre-releases are starting soon. Hopefully we can get some packs out of them and we can get some reviews out of those cards soon as well. And so if you're interested in any of that stuff, definitely get subscribed. Anyways guys, as always, stay safe and thanks for watching.